From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. Airports across the U.S. are still experiencing significant disruptions this morning due to the ongoing American government shutdown. The Federal Aviation Administration has reduced flights as some air traffic controllers who've gone without pay for weeks have stopped showing up for work. Yesterday, U.S. airlines canceled more than 2,700 flights. But late last night, the U.S. Senate took a first step toward ending the shutdown with a test vote of compromise legislation that cleared a key hurdle. Here's reporter Ali Pecorin on the deal-making.
We heard speeches from lawmakers making their case for what they plan to do, and then this vote happened. We did see 8 Democratic caucus members, the minimum amount that could have been involved in trying to reopen the government, vote to advance a bill that's going to eventually lead, likely, to the government opening.
A group of moderate Democrats agreed to proceed to fund the government through January, with a promised vote to be held by mid-December about extending health care subsidies. Canadian negotiators are heading to Brazil for 2 weeks of the UN climate talks. Our delegation to the COP30 summit will be led this week by Environment Minister Julie Debruzen. Southern Ontario is cleaning up after its first snowfall of the season, and Quebec is about to do the same. Environment Canada issued special weather statements yesterday from Windsor, all the way northeast to Ottawa. The Greater Toronto area received between 2 and 10 centimeters of snow. Ottawa was expecting between 10 and 20 through last night. Quebecers gave the provincial government a big dose of democracy yesterday as thousands of demonstrators descended on Montreal's Bell Centre to demand the suspension of a new law that changes how Quebec doctors are paid.
More than 10,000 protesters made it out to Montreal's Bell Centre, spurred on by a quartet of medical federations opposing legislation known as Bill 2. The law ties part of physicians' remuneration to performance targets and threatens steep fines for those who use pressure tactics to boycott the changes. Premier François Legault forced it through the National Assembly last month. Doctors argue it muzzles them and it could drive physicians out of Quebec. In response to the discontent, Health Minister Christian Dubé announced last Tuesday he was suspending some provisions in the bill. Don Mitchell, the Canadian Press.
The captain wired in, he had water coming in.
Today marks the 50th anniversary of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. All 29 crew members on board that iron ore carrying freighter died when it went down in Lake Superior during a vicious storm on November 10, 1975. The Fitzgerald is still widely remembered, thanks in large part to Gordon Lightfoot's 1976 ballad memorializing the wreck. The wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald went to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1976. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Toronto Maple Leafs blew a 4-2 lead and fell 5-4 to the Carolina Hurricanes. Leafs head coach Craig Berube blasted his team's defensive commitment.
Could be immaturity. Turnover after turnover cost us the game tonight.
Colorado got a 5-4 overtime win over the Vancouver Canucks. The Anaheim Ducks won their 7th in a row, a 4-1 decision against the Winnipeg Jets. And the Minnesota Wild shut out Calgary. The Ottawa Senators pulled off a 4-2 win over the visiting Utah Mammoth. In soccer, Atletico Ottawa has won its first North Star Cup. It took 4 hours, though, to record that 2-1 Canadian Premier League championship win in a snowstorm showdown against defending champs Cavalry FC of Calgary. In women's soccer, snowfall in Toronto postponed the second leg of the Northern Super League semifinal between the Montreal Roses and AFC Toronto. The game has been rescheduled for Monday night. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.